All right. Shalom. I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory
to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Kakadash.
Double honors to the head apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the fellow laborers out there, and as always, you believers. So yeah, we back once again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. And right now, you're tuning in to the 246th installment of As Foretold in the Scriptures, which again is an ongoing series dedicated to pretty much bring a proper perspective to the Holy Scriptures from a prophetic standpoint. And before we start, I'll be amiss to mention we got a special guest in the house, the beloved brother Yash from GMS Mississippi Camp Church, which, as we often say in these parts, the faces and the places might change, but the message is still the same. And what's the message? Overall, the downfall, collapse, and utter destruction of this place, America, Babylon the Great, right? Which we briefly touched on that during camp, as touching when you go back to the origins, if you will, Esau, Jacob, Cain, and Abel. Well, the destiny of those two figures, if you will, was mentioned and pretty much laid out. And the fate of Esau, which was reincarnated, that was the version of Cain regenerated, Esau, where his fate is documented in the scriptures. And when you go into the records, there's a point in time where his visitation will be brought forth, and this will be that time. Matter of fact, go to the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, and I believe it's the 19th verse, but you can store it up. Because when you read the scriptures with understanding what lies within it is death threats, man. Pretty much there's a alarming sound that goes forth that's geared towards a particular people, the nation of Edom, who will be in power here in the latter days. It will ultimately be visited by the Most High, man. And the takedown of his kingdom, which will be violent, by the way, when you read the scriptures with understanding, will serve as the catalyst, if you will, to the world to come, the kingdom of heaven. And guess what? We don't expect the average person to understand that lingo. That phrase, the kingdom of heaven, when uttered, the people perceive it as being an after-death experience. But what we found out, the kingdom of heaven is nothing more than the next system, if you will, that's set to govern over the planet Earth, at the falling of this current reality. Oh, you got it, bro.
I'll just add to what you're saying. That goes back to, which is the spirit, that's the channel, mysteries of the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the mysteries of the kingdom.
Yeah.
That the kingdom gonna be on earth. That's a mystery within itself. Just to add to what you're saying, bro.
Yeah, it is. What's that? Revelation? You got that? Matter of fact, hey, go ahead.
Revelation 5 and verse 10 has made us unto our power kings and priests.
Right, and that's what we're witnessing right now in real time. The making of kings. And that, hey, look, that concept is far beyond the reasoning of mortals, man. Especially when you consider what the so-called Negro, first and foremost, as well as the Latin tribes, the natives, represent. Our people serve as a symbol of being conquered. We spoke on that briefly at camp. The height, right, the ceiling for our people is the NBA, a record contract, right? What else? Help me out.
A
A trapper.
Military.
Yep. See? But now we are being exposed to an idea that promotes the poor being raised up to govern over the planet Earth.
Yep.
That's why it's not easily received from our people.
To add to what you're saying, because going back to the mysteries of the kingdom, it's the only doctrine that puts us over the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because going back to an athlete, a rapper, a trapper, well, you still a servant for the so-called white man. You might be able to flex on your own people. You might be able to flex on the other slaves, but you still operate within a servant of the so-called white man. So this doctrine is the only doctrine that puts us above the so-called white man. No other doctrine does that, man.
Well, that was equality promoted.
Yeah.
Civil rights. When you take a step back and assess that, that was sick, man. But they have this experiment with dogs or your pets. But let's say for dogs, once they're in this confined area for so long, they know what the parameters is. You can remove the fence, but they know not to cross that barrier. So you can apply that with the mindset of our people. They said, look, our ceiling is equality. We ain't even pondering or entertaining the idea of being above Esau. The audacity. No, we just want to be equal. I want to be able to go up into these stores and not walk in the restaurant from the back or use a restroom that's labeled colored. I want to drink out of the same water fountain. But when you take a step back and assess that, you're like, look, subconsciously, you got a parameter, right? Even my dreams consist of just being equal at best. And that's what makes this form of teaching intriguing, man. It comes from far left field. That's what Yahweh Shai brought on the scene. Because remember, the whole dynamic was what? The heavily taxation of the Jews, right? So Yahweh Shai came with the simplicity in his message of, look, you're going to rule, right? Here it is. You're going back and forth, being overly taxed. But guess what? You know how I'm going to trump that? The kingdom of heaven, you're going to rule. So that message, when you consider homeborn slaves, as the scriptures say, it is one that would be considered foreign. You got some? Yeah, come on.
This is from Google Search Labs AI on Google, talking about the hopelessness studies, right? We got something called Learned Hopelessness. It says hopelessness studies often explore the psychological state characterized by a pervasive sense of despair and lack of hope, frequently associated with negative outcomes like suicide, ideation, and attempts. So you got this idea called learned hopelessness. By the way, Esau did studies on fleas. Esau studies everything.
Yeah.
And he studied fleas, and he put fleas into a jar, and fleas would try to get out the jar and hit the top of the lid and then go back down.
Right.
Eventually, them fleas had children and babies, and Esau could screw the top off the lid, and them babies will only jump as far as the lid would go, showing you that there's a learned form of hopelessness. Right. You can learn hopelessness from your parents. Wow. You can learn hopelessness from your culture. You can learn hopelessness from the people around you, because Esau, created a situation in which you would only go so far because you don't learn. You can't go farther than that. So here it is. The Lord got us set up to be equipped with the faculties that help us with embracing the kingdom of heaven and things that the Lord is going to bestow upon us, promises. Right. And Esau in a situation that whereas he gonna teach you that you can't have that.
Right.
Yeah. You ain't able.
Well, if I may, right, that's a beautiful point. Remember when Yahweh Shai in Matthew the 13th chapter, he mentioned the fact that we would have eyes to see. So we have the ability to peer out far beyond, right? What's that? Is that First Peter? Not seeing afar off, and only being able to having the ability to see what's before you. So yeah, it requires faith, obviously. They say step out on faith. But this is a miracle in itself because, hey, really, when you look at our people, you really can't blame them. This is all they know. This was a miracle. It wasn't because of us we was able to develop the idea of a world beyond this current reality. See? So that's why Yahweh said, blessed are your eyes. Yeah, come on.
It's the book of St. John, chapter 8, and verse 23. Yeah. And he said unto them, ye are from beneath, I am from above. ye are of this world. I am not of this world. Yeah, so just like the elder brother just went into, you can learn hopelessness, from the generation before you.
Yeah.
Okay, because even when Yahushua came on the scene, Jake had pretty much the leadership of Israel had bowed down to the Roman Empire. Because he was addressing the leadership at the time, because them niggas was content, with being prize slaves, in the Roman Empire. So Yahushua was telling them niggas like, look, you niggas from below, you from beneath.
Right.
You're content with being a do boy for the Romans.
Right.
The kingdom I'm talking about puts us above the Romans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he was telling them niggas like, y'all from beneath.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what had the leadership of Israel so offended, because the followers of Yahushua, they thought above the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Just as now, Yahushua in this time is teaching us to think above the Roman Empire. And this is what has everyone so offended, because Jake, that's why Jake is so offended in the doctrine, because Jake wasn't taught to think above America.
Right.
So when you teach above America, Jake is by default offended. You know what I'm saying? Just to bag up what you were saying, bro.
He can't explore a world without Esau rule.
Yeah.
They call it Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
You develop a certain sympathy for your oppressor. You got nostalgia, right? Nigga daydream about the electric slide. Like the simple things that keep. That's why this not for everybody, man. Right? And I know that can be like with reality, because reality sometimes it hurt, but that's what we're dealing with. We don't take you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans serious. All right, so come on.
This is Daniel 2:44. It said, and in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom. So I mean, that's the report, man. And this is the time with these kings, beginning with Esau and this the garments of nations. This is the time where the Lord about to set forth this transition, man.
Right.
It's just going back to brother mentioned is how Jake get offended because of this message, because their doctrine, their outlook requires this place to be here, man.
Right.
So that's just going back. Talks about that reality. This reality is about to come to an end.
Right. Your logic is contingent upon America continuing.
Right.
Whereas the elect, their logic contingent upon America falling.
Right.
So we in a complete opposition mentally.
Right. Yeah, just look at the standards of these people, man. Things they accept, the things that they reject, and then themselves they need to be put in doubt, man. Show you that what the scripture says in Ezra, this world was meant for many, but the world to come was going to be for a few, man. Show you that it's going to be certain spirits on the earth that's going to witness this transition, man.
It's built for, like you always say, Zaquan. It's only certain men it's built for.
Right.
There's only a few people on earth that's built for this doctrine. And that's why the Lord, put emphasis on us just being around each other. Because it's a waste of time to talk to a nigga that has that hopeless mentality, man. Because he gonna hit that ceiling. He not gonna jump out the box.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's the congregation of the dead.
Yeah. And that box, the coffin.
The coffin,
If I can get one.
Oh, you got it, bro. Yes, sir.
Because this is a precept that shows you that the Lord has us being trained up in the opposite of the way that we was taught. Because when you talk that hopelessness shit, like, who do you think of? Tupac? You know what I'm saying? They say, I'm hopeless. They playing a big part.
He said it with passion.
Yeah. I'm hopeless. You know what I'm saying? If I look at Doug, you know what I'm saying? Like, he really enchanted Jake to think that a nigga tell you that they hopeless, but a nigga work right beside a Fortune, live right beside a Fortune 500 company. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can go next door and get a job, but a nigga tell you he's hopeless. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a handicap.
Yeah, but you got it, bro.
This is Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Yep. Things written aforetime written for our learning because of what? Go ahead.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures
Yep.
might have hope.
Might have hope.
Mm.
So that's a direct opposite of that hopelessness teaching. Because you think about it, like Joshua took down 33 heathen kings going into the land of Canaan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so now it's like shit, my forefathers was on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like King David was a shepherd boy when he was an adolescent, but as a 30, when he got in his 30s, he ruled the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So now it take the top off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like going to like you teach hopelessness, you create a ceiling that Jake dare don't go past.
Mm-hmm.
But you study our forefathers, it's like nah, fuck that. Like King David went from a shepherd boy to the ruler of the known world.
Yeah.
So now it's like no, you look at the standard our forefathers said. There's no such thing as hopelessness. There's
Right.
no limit.
Right.
So that's the biggest threat to Esau empire is Israelites thinking like this.
Oh, Jacob is the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the beginning, there's no limitations with that. Oh, what's that? Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter, right? Better is a poor and wise king, better is a poor and wise child than an old and foolish king, right? Because that poor and wise child has a future. There's no ceiling there. You can see the potential. You can see where it's growth, right? You see that with franchises, the NBA, the NFL. You might have a guy with star-studded accolades, but his age catch up with him. Now the franchise is forced to go in another direction, and it's someone younger. Why? Because there's a future. There's no ceiling. So that's the energy that's in the earth, man. Right? Esau running his course, and then a new glimmer of hope, a newfound hope, right? Simultaneously being brought forth through us. That was it? You had that?
Yeah, all that.
Okay.
You got it, bro.
We got anything else out before we come back? Yeah, come on. Yep, speak up.
This is Psalms chapter 78. I start at verse 5. It says, it's in the NLT. It says, for he issued his laws to Jacob. He gave instructions to Israel. He commanded our ancestors to teach them to their children, so the next generation might know them. It says, even the children not.
And that's if I could add, if I may, that's true generational wealth.
Yeah.
Because we don't have none of the actual gold and silver, from the golden age of Israel, King David and King Solomon, but we had their wisdom.
Right.
See, their wisdom carried on. You see? So now that we have this wisdom, we tapped into something. All right? And this is something that these devils weren't able to take away. And this shows you that he is, because if Esau, was able to take away this word, he would, but he can't. The Lord preserved this for us, man.
Yeah.
Like this is an inheritance that this devil can't take away, and that's this wisdom. You see, because the scriptures say wisdom leads to a kingdom. So the Lord wanted his sons to be stripped down to nothing, and we will have to climb our way back through wisdom. Because Adam had everything in the beginning. He failed. King Solomon had everything. He failed. So now, the Most High, y'all gonna climb from nothing.
Right.
But I'm gonna give you this wisdom. You know what I'm saying? They make us value this wisdom above everything else. So the fact that we have this wisdom preserved, it's a big threat to the devil, man. You see? You got it, bro.
Hey, matter of fact, you know what? Somebody hold Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter. Right? Come on.
Sirach chapter 30 and verse 3. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy. If I may, that's what we being instructed in the ways of righteousness right now, man.
Yeah.
And it's grievous to Esau.
Oh, yeah.
If I may, imagine how many people is tuning in and just, them levels or them ceilings above their heads being pulled off, because that's what hope is.
Right. Strongholds, baby.
Yeah, strongholds.
Like you said, the teaching his son show you that this was prepared for a future battle.
Right.
It's that moment where this wisdom was meant to be applied.
Right.
And this is what combats Esau, man.
Kind of finishing off, it says, and before his friends, he shall rejoice of him.
I got a quick one.
This is like an ad. Those friends are the angels. You know, because the Most High is in the spiritual realm rejoicing that his sons being groomed up in righteousness, man. You know, you gotta understand, like the Lord is getting ready to start eternity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the eternity finna start now.
Right.
Because all this shit was a simulation. All these captivities and things that we've been through, all this shit. He finna turn the simulation off and start eternity, man.
Yeah.
So this is what we're a part of. And see, this is why, you know, we don't have a lot of time, you know, deal with the gimmicks. You know, we address particular things, but like we got serious business, man.
Right.
You know, it's to the point now to where if you can't differentiate between the real and the fake, then this ain't for you.
Right.
You know, because like the brother said, the world to come is for few. Those few like-minded. The Lord is only coming back to get a few like-minded men. And that's all it takes.
Right.
You go into King David, you know, his empire was started, we'll say 400 men gathering themselves to King David. You know, and the empire started off there like, how Shah don't need many. You know,
that's the idea of seed.
Yeah, kind of.
Seed is small amongst all of seed is small, but look what it grows into. Yeah. Yep. Come. You have more on that?
I got something real quick.
Real quick before you get there, we're gonna get there and come back. Come on.
From the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiastes 16:1. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight thou in ungodly sons. Though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them.
That makes it the few.
Right.
You know, whereas you could have many children, but the few that actually had the fear of the Lord, those you really put stock in. I said, Yahweh Shemi Ashar put stock in. They're gonna have the hope. They're gonna be the leaders. You know, they're between leaders and followers. They're gonna be the leaders, which you know the rest of Israel will come through. And as the elder just mentioned, the seed, the seed being small and they grow.
Right.
So you don't need a whole lot. The idea is just a whole lot. Look, you can have one son, and that one son be the, you know, just like King Solomon had, King David had many sons, but that stock came through one son.
Right. But when you go to that word seed in the Greek, it means to the future. It means to preserve the future generation or something like that. Right. So the seed that's going to be preserved, which is the elect, will assure a future. Right. So this is the manifestation. The brothers going into the scriptures and expounding on the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven is the manifestation of that reality. You know, which is the world to come. And you know, when you go into something that's small, it's not just reserved to numbers. It also links up with being insignificant. Right? Overlooked. Right? And you could be in the city, the hustle and bustle of the city, right? You pass by one alley. You could go through all those Broadway streets and avenues, but that one alley, that narrow path was the way that you needed to go, and it could be overlooked. Right? So that's a vivid illustration of the importance of, you know, this setting, this setup. And guess what? I'm gonna throw this out there again. We don't care about the masses.
Nah.
Yeah, see, that's the stumbling block.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
And just to add to what you said, because you know, people say, you know, what they say is strength in numbers.
Right.
But really, there's strength in quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the strength is in
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity. Yeah.
So the real strength in the quality, man. So the Lord is raising up quality men.
Right.
You know, and that's what the strength is in that quality, man. Those men that fear Yahweh by Shema Shah. You know?
That's it. Yep. Come on.
Yeah, come. Book of Sirach 16 verse 3. It says, trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude. For one that is just is better than 1,000. And better is it to die without charity than to have them that are ungodly.
That's that quality over quantity.
That's it.
But you can have a whole lot of slag, you can have a whole lot of trash, and you can have one speck of something that's pure. that one speck of something that's pure is more valuable than a whole lot of nothing.
Right. Oh, like the denarius, like the ancient Roman Empire.
Yeah.
That mineral, it was mixed with other properties that wasn't valuable.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So the sum of it, the overall sum of it, was what it was, but the value of it wasn't. Right. Scripture speaks about those unjust scales.
Mhm.
So basically, that's what Esau and all the other nations and kingdoms contributed to the planet Earth. But again, the poor, right? Here it is. We don't have schools and, you know, a standing army, the things that the flesh require. A nigga, in order for them to validate us as being the authority, they got to see something. Right. They got to see something, but it's small.
Yeah.
It's not, it's insignificant. Like, a nigga, give me more, man. But no, this is all you need. See, and from this small, what was perceived to be small, right? From this seed, this is going to germinate. That's actually the definition, right? Germinate. For that word seed is going to increase into really ruling over the planet Earth and beyond. We touched on that St. John the 14th chapter.
I got one for you, bro.
Yeah, they out, man. You know what? We're gonna start right here, and we're gonna just try to get all the pizza.
Real quick. 1 Samuel 14:6. And Jonathan said to the young man that bare his armor, "Come and let us go over unto the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for there is no restraint to the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai to save by many or by few." You know, so the Lord is not, restrained, by numbers. You know, the Lord is not restrained, by the limitations, that we can look at, as mere men. You see, what the scripture say, anything is possible when it comes to Yahweh by Shema Shai. Nothing is impossible, man. So it's not even about the numbers; it's about the faith at the end of the day. So the faith of the few men is going to change the world. You know, when you really look at the overall scheme, it's going to be the faith of a few men that change the world.
Right.
You know?
Yes,
I got something real quick. This is Isaiah 10:20. It reads, "And it shall come to pass at that day that the remnant of Israel and such are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them." So just going back to the transition, you saying that it's going to be a remnant that's going to be really preserved, and their mind going to be fashioned for that world to come. And that's why we're not under that mindset of him that smote us, which is Esau, man. Our desires, our wants and needs is not so-called compromised by way of this place.
Right.
In a sense of it's according to the standard of this place.
What they call it, 5-year plan. We don't put no stock into this place, man. Right? Because we believe on the report. See, the report entails what? The violent takedown of Esau, which will be manifest through his kingdom being destroyed. Now, when you understand that concept, what the hell you gonna put? What stock you gonna put into it? Now, you might have someone that say, "Well, why are you here? Go back to Africa." And that open up another Pandora box, if you will, right? Because look, Scripture says that we will be delivered. What's that? Is that Micah? Scripture say, "From Babylon, thou will be delivered."
Right.
See, so we really at the right place. We on the scene of the crime. We at the right place at the right time. And see, and this is what contributes to that hope, because knowing that the destruction is coming is what fuels your hope in salvation. Motherfuckers talking about salvation, excuse my language, man, right? You Christians especially. Always hollering about salvation, but saved from what? In the same breath, it's almost tongue in cheek. You say salvation, but then you say you already highly favored. Or
Saved, sanctified.
Right.
Highly favored.
Then you're taken by the concept of mayhem and calamity and perils, but yet you speak of salvation.
around to eat a pork salad.
Right. Aluminum foil, man.
Yeah.
And you know it was Easter today, man.
Oh man.
Christians in aluminum, yeah, that was all over the place today. Plates.
That's why eggs went up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the build up to the
That whole lot of money.
niggas wasted eggs, had Easter eggs. Huh?
Yeah.
Big
More
dip.
eggshells
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah.
Pink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, egg yellow. It's a lot. Come on.
There's a crying for salvation, but a desire to escape like the perils that bring about salvation. You're gonna need the perils in order to have that salvation.
Right.
You know, and that's what the scriptures help. That's what understanding help you align with. Like, okay, the famine do gotta come
Right.
in order for me to be saved. The
Right.
pestilence do gotta come. The atrocity, you know what I'm saying? The perils do have to be here
Right.
presently in my life
Right.
in order for me to be saved out of it.
Yeah, the concept of salvation can't be applied unless you have the dangers, the hidden dangers, right? And that pretty much distinguishes who is who. Because when that message goes forth, then it should activate the hope in salvation,
Right.
right? But as it were, people shut it down because they either think they're already saved or they think that salvation is reserved after death. And that eliminates them. See, so this is the perfect setting, man, for those who inquire of salvation. You must be in a setting where devastation and destruction is discussed,
Right.
right? That has to be on the table to invoke that reaction of want to be saved. You see?
Got some real.
You know what? We got something right here. We're going to start writing. We're going to come around.
It's on Acts 14:22. It says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the Most High. And on to the point where the elder just said, basically you have to be put into a bad position to even hope for salvation.
Right.
That's why it says confirming the souls of the disciples, because confirming is basically having some that you know. You know, everybody know what's going on, for the lack of better words, man.
Right.
You know, nobody ain't hoping for something different.
Right.
Everybody hoping for the destruction of Babylon, man.
Oh, that's that. Is that Ephesians 1 hope?
One hope. Yeah.
Because the Lord, in order for the Lord to show his power, Israel got to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that might.
And see, that comes with us knowing our power. See, the Christian church don't teach you about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You know? See, we're really getting to know our Father. And when you know your Father, you understand his habits. You understand his patterns.
Right.
You know? So you understand that in Egypt, we had to be in that situation to where we were stuck between what they call a rock and a hard place. You read about Daniel, you read about the 3 Hebrew boys, all right, Mishael, Hananiah, Azariah, okay? And you see the predicament, so you know that the Lord needs, Israel to be vulnerable for him to show his power.
Right.
Because now you understand how your Father operates. So we know that the Lord is going to have us as if we're vulnerable so he can showcase his power, man.
Right.
Just even like with my carnal father, I understand how he moved. Like, he got a kill switch. Like, he stop when he through with you, he through with you. It's to the point to, like, the little chick he was dealing with, like, she had called me and she was like, "You heard from your father?" And I'm knowing, like, if you ain't heard from him, it's over. Yeah, like, I know what this means. So just going back to the point of what you said, like the fact that we're in this position to where we're going to be vulnerable, we know what this means.
Right.
The Lord finna show up.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we understand our Father now. Like, this is how he operates.
Right.
This is
That's a
what
good
you're
point.
saying, bro.
Real quick point, just going back to mention the 3 holy children, because it was a point Nebuchadnezzar mentioned, who is that power that's going to live you? That was a form of the Lord, Yahweh Shah being introduced, so the Lord, it was the Lord set up what he got it. He's introducing himself now,
Yeah, he put the spirit on them and said, "Who is this power?" And that was the segue to introduce you how about Shemel Shah, man.
Real quick. If I may, let me find this.
And while you're getting that right, for an example, what's associated with the ministry? The famine, right?
Yeah,
that's one of the many evils that's reported. But when you go into the records, our power made food materialize. That wasn't an account just for you to unwind and let me read a Bible story. No, that was strategically put there in the records. With that word record go back to memory. So it reminds us of how the Most High get down. So instead of hearing the report, the evil tidings of the famine coming and you folding, it provokes a the miracles coming. Oh, even with the El Salvador threats.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right, you got some brothers gonna tone it back. They ain't gonna get on his Esau as much.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw the thumbnail, we got the action figures. Look, if you send us to El Salvador, guess what? That's gonna provoke, that's gonna unlock the spirit of Yahweh Shah. Because when you go into Yahweh Shah, it's an omen, it means he who delivers. So as you hear the evil tidings, really the reaction should be, oh shit, Yahweh Shah unlocked. Because there's an entity that's set up to offset those dangers.
It's like a video game where you gotta acquire a certain skill set just to get to the next stage. Yahweh Shah is that skill set, that understanding level that you gotta acquire just to get to the salvation in the kingdom. We all want prosperity, peace.
King of peace.
Well, this is how you get it, and here it is. Some crazily reject it. But that's the same way you get into the kingdom that you want. You want Yahweh Shah. He's needed. He's required in order for you to get to that level.
Well, that lets you know right there, but man, Yahweh Shah gets soft on this. He was designed to save. So even in that, right, it's not like Yahweh Shah is going to be when someone do some when you do some, the scriptures say don't do nothing grudgingly or whatnot. That's the best word. Yahweh Shah not going to be grudgingly saving you because he was set up to do that. So now you got the deliverer, this spirit, this power. How fitting to start calling on that name at a time like this. This is the worst case scenario where the food you eat can potentially kill you. Right? So now it makes sense. The time, and for time and sake itself, now we starting to call on Yahweh Shah, right? In the ancient tongue, we calling on a force that to deliver.
He delivers.
He delivers. This is the right time for that. You can't say them in the new covenant and you really saying Yahweh Shai, we're not saying we're not going to be uttering that name, in the world to come, but
like you said, you're not delivered.
Thank you, right, from the point of desperation.
Right.
Remember, we the poor over here. We ain't calling on the name Yahweh Shai from a standpoint of being on top. We calling on that name from the perspective of it serving as a lifeline as we are being subdued in these waters and turbulence. See, so hey, we welcome this moment, man. And if you send a brother to El Salvador, then the next week at camp he pop up. Right, with a testimony, man. It's gonna be things happening in the earth, man. Yeah, like come on.
Just going back to
But he don't look the same. Like remember Moses came back with that brother come back all grayed up.
Passage field.
Like you on a particular diet, you ain't eating certain.
And this bag of
you added a keeper to your statue, 6'4" now.
It says to what the brother Barak was saying, this Exodus 5:1. And afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus said Yahweh by Shema Shai, power of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is Yahweh that I should obey his voice to let Israel go. I know not the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai, neither will I let Israel go. So,
Hey, God, hey. So Pharaoh got well acquainted with Yahweh
Yes,
Shema
sir.
Shai. But that statement, that was like a cause and effect. That would so-called, introduce Yahweh Shema Shai on the scene to pour forth his works, man.
If I may, that Romans 9. Even for this same purpose, how the Lord raised Esau up,
Right.
they show his power.
Right.
Same reason he hardened Pharaoh's heart. Because if he hadn't hardened Pharaoh's heart, he wouldn't be able to show how powerful he was.
Right.
It would have been an easy fix, so to speak, like you said, for lack of a better word. But he had to harden. Was the Exodus? Was that 14?
Yeah.
14.
Yeah. Well, when you look at Trump now, he paralleled Pharaoh. That's in Romans 9, where you see where Esau is thrust in the same stratosphere as Pharaoh, man. And you see with Trump, man, his works alone prove that his heart is the Most High dealing with that dude, man. Got this dude stirring up all this, making death threats. And he got a wartime consigliere.
Oh yeah.
Right? You go into like mobsters, they have a what do they call it? A consigliere? Consigliere is a term. But you have different ones. You have wartime. So he got somebody pulling him by and says, chill out, man. Because he want to say great millstone. You know why I say that, man? That ain't a hard saying either, man. Because who more diligent than us overall? You got guys who might make points, right? They might speak on certain matters, but who come in every day? Because if you pull a great millstone out of the way, the powers that be can deal with everybody else. They ain't diligent enough to make an impact. Hey, if you don't work out every day, it don't make an impact. You work out a few times, you ain't gonna see no results. Right? So the way these guys come in their presentation, it's not enough to compromise, right? The powers that be. But when you got somebody that's constantly coming, then now, right, that serves as a threat to your conflict, if you will, to your society.
And we got the names. To add to the
Oh yeah.
Isaiah 47.
Got the
Take the
names.
millstone.
We brought that up. And you're right though. We got the names. So that's like you pull out that decree and say on behalf of the heavenly kingdom of Yahweh, that steps it, that makes it official. Because you have plenty of people who've been crying out against the atrocities of Esau. And they have valid points. But it wasn't stamped with the authority of Yahweh, so it didn't serve as a mover and shaker, as they say.
R. Kelly probably got
Oh
something.
yeah, R. Kelly has something to say. R. Kelly said,
Bill
look,
Cosby,
man, I paid my taxes. R. Kelly got a valid argument.
Because we come and thus saith the Lord. That's the difference.
Right.
You said they got valid points. They can say that's the devil, blah, blah, blah. But we saying thus saith the Lord. It's power when we come with in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
Oh, what's that documentary, The Great State?
Right.
That guy, he got put to death because he wasn't an ambassador on behalf of the kingdom, man.
he had protection.
He had
That's
protection.
That's it.
We going in more harsh than that. We got names and posters. But eventually this man gonna test the theory of scripture say, touch not mine anointed. So, and you can see it though, with Trump, he the perfect catalyst to say, man, the hell with them niggas, Because Trump really a nationalist. Right, if you had to put a tag on him. So he's for his nation and, he got that red blood. He captures, right, everything that Edom stand for,
And that's who started the persecution in Rome with Nero.
With Nero, yep.
And so it makes sense, that it's full circle, the devil, really start that persecution back up. It's in the spirit to do it, because he's done it before.
Right.
So he's here to play a role, and a guy like Trump, which he's the do boy for the elites,
right?
But he's a particular spirit, because he got that controversial spirit,
right?
Because you can't just bring out a casual conversation about Trump. So you gotta be ready to go there. Like if you want to talk about Trump, you gotta be ready to go there. You can't just talk about Trump casually Like it's a controversy around this nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
You know what I mean? You might bring up Trump, and this a nigga just got fired from the health department.
Yeah.
So you bring that up. You know what I'm saying?
The actual syndrome.
Yeah.
Like
This
Trump
nigga.
design.
Yeah.
Trump TDS, Trump
Yeah,
derangement
yeah.
syndrome is a real thing. Yeah,
So
they go in on you.
So
Yeah.
the Lord put particular spirits in the earth to take this thing to the next phase, man.
Or it's like a spiritual tool bag.
Yeah.
If you reach in your tool bag, you get your sawzall blade right for a certain work. You don't get the hammer. So the Lord is beginning to bring that spirit of unease and restlessness in the earth. So he's pulling out these ancient characters. They're at the disposal of the Lord, man. Pull out Nero for this situation. Right? He built for it. He got the tenacity and on the shy with contact. But then the Lord got the prophets whose heart and face have been set against them. And we just as diligent, man. See, so now you can't really escape the inevitable. It's like inevitable. There's going to be a clash. What's that? Proverbs the 10th chapter. Where the desires of the poor and the rich is on display. And you got the judge. What Yahweh spoke about the fortunate widow. And we're in a time now where the Lord is reckoning. He's gonna bring justice to the poor, and it's gonna be at the expense of the rich. You know how much collateral damage gonna get caught up in that? All you people reality gonna change because of that. See? So that was it. Yeah. Go ahead, come on.
In the book of Sirach 16 and 13, the sinner should not escape with his spoils. And the patient,
He's not going to escape. And show you this nigga's looking over his shoulders, man. He's not going to escape with his spoils. So this new world order, the Lord gonna allow this man to go so far, but he's not going to get it established. You got it, bro.
I'm trying to say, and the patience of the godly should not be frustrated.
He said the patience of the God should not be frustrated. Matter of fact, somebody get Proverbs chapter 23, I believe verse 17. He said the patience of the God should not be frustrated, man, because as the elder mentioned, how Proverbs 10, the desires of the righteous and the wicked intertwine. Man.
Right.
So you go into it, they flip of a coin, heads on top, tails got to be on bottom.
Right.
Vice versa, man. So somebody got to win at the end of the day. The script already written that Jacob, the elect, is going to win. Somebody got that Proverbs 23 and 17. It might be 17, 23 and 17. Try 23 and 17.
It said, Proverbs 23 and 17. It says, let not thy heart be considered, but be thou in the fear of the Lord.
So it said, let not thy heart be considered. So, pretty much, man, to hell with this place, man. There's nothing here for us, even the things that's presented as a so-called way out. Ain't nothing fuck this place, man.
Right.
Because we see the results. Mentioned Bill Cosby, the nigga R. Kelly. These niggas was top singers. The women loved them. R. Kelly, but Bill Cosby was known as America's dad. But look at the results.
Right.
The niggas locked up, man.
Yeah, that's right. And the status Bill Cosby reached, that was America's fault. Yeah.
Like the Kevin Hart of that generation.
Right. America's dad.
Yeah.
That means America welcomed him into every living room and gave him access to their children, and you know what I mean? And that nigga ended up in jail, man.
Yeah.
He was just reduced to a regular guy.
Right.
He had a nickname. Yeah. Pudding pop. Yeah.
Nigga was a nigga had to be in the same position as a Traquan, man, a defendant.
Right. He was probably he got into arguments with niggas. Yeah. He was reduced. To feeling some type of way about an extra role. Yeah, man. The most I had it, man.
If I can add, if I may, and it shows you that anything outside of your house shot, it only reroutes you back to the beast.
Oh, that's that net.
Yeah, it only reroutes you back to the beast. Because, you can deal with, like your boy, 19 keys. I forgot the guy's name. You know what I'm saying? He makes some points. But then when they start talking about the C-Hip, well, he was with the C-Hip. Like, he with the MOTV technology. Like, he got certain knowledge,
Right.
But guess what? When it comes to their hard stance, they reroute you back to the beast. Even like with Sakari. All them debates and, all that shit. But guess what? You in it right back with the beast.
Right.
With their lewd behavior. So it just shows you that everything that's outside of Yahweh Shai is only meant to reroute you back to the beast. No matter what it looked like, you know what I'm saying? In the beginning, no matter the accolades that you get, no matter the benefits that you get from it. But guess what? Those benefits run out and then reroute you right back to the beast, man.
This the exit. Exit out of here. That's that path. From out of this confused, like this place of confusion. The scripture speaks about this being the embattlements of the city, right? Remember who lords over this place? Esau, the cunning hunter. So naturally, his setup will be a snare. And like the brother was going into, and Yahweh Shai, where the disciples, when they dropped their nets, that was symbolic to even our walk. When you walk away from this place and you fully commit to Yahweh Shai, that's likened to not being entangled in this world. So you escape it, right? But if you don't got Yahweh Shai, every move you make, every point you make, you really entangling. You're in a net, right? Motherfucker tell you, relax. Don't move no more. Because the more you move, you get entangled more and more. So a nigga drop another live stream, another debate, every action you make, like the brother said, you being led back to the beast. Or in this case, you being more and more entangled. Versus the believers who have now been brought to the wilderness to serve, as the brother read in concerning ancient Egypt. But Exodus, the 5th chapter, the Lord said, look, let my people go so they can go into the wilderness and worship me. So now we have that. Because it's not like the Lord will ever concede, like, you know what, that didn't work, I'm going to chalk it up. No, eventually that happened because we are not of the world. We're not inhabitants of the city. We literally in the wilderness, in a realm where we're able to serve the Most High without being entangled with the affairs of this world. That's the difference between the wilderness and the city. You got some people that just go off the grid. They say, fuck it, man, fuck this place. So spiritually, that's where we at with it. And that opens you up, that frees you up to properly give the Lord his just due. As the scriptures say, do good unto thyself, but give the Lord his just due. This the setting for that. So we got anything out here?
I think one more verse. It's like
it's like no, you got it, bro.
Can you read it again, bro? It's like
on that Proverbs 23, verse 17, and it says, "Let not thy heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all day long. For surely there is an end."
See, surely there is an end, man. That's the report that we was given, man. This is an end to this place, man.
Right.
And just going back to the desires of the righteous and the wicked. That's part of the fears of the wicked. This man is really fighting to keep his head above water. This thing is how he present things. People think shit is gonna be all good, but this nigga is really trying to keep his head above water. You got it.
It says, "And thy expectation shall not be cut off."
And that goes with it as well. Our expectation is for this place to go down and for the kingdom of heaven to be established, man. What you got, right?
This is the book of Ephesians 6, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Showing you it's coming from a source. We dealing directly with the source. When you're dealing with the source, it's like a stream of water. You can get continual advantages constantly, nonstop. To put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
Yeah, if I can add, you don't mind. It said put on the whole armor of the Most High so you can stand against the wiles of the devil. And then wiles, go to methodios, which goes back to methods. Going back to what we said earlier, if you're not coming, in the full doctrine of Yahushua, okay, then you don't have on that armor, that full armor.
Right.
So you can have on, just like you see these officers, they go out there with these bulletproof vests, but their head's still uncovered. Like Jake wear the vest.
Right.
Jake get a bulletproof vest and think he invincible. But the head uncovered, the feet, the legs, like you still can die. So if you don't have on the full armor, well, you still have openness for the methods of Esau, Edom to get to you, man.
Right.
So anything less than the full armor is what you call it, it's not
Naked.
it's not. Yeah, it makes you vulnerable, but it's not sufficient.
Right.
If you don't have on the full armor, it's not sufficient. You gotta
Compromise. Say,
They got to some up. Oh yeah, you brothers got.
put on the whole armor of Yahweh.
And if I may select you, just going back, even the setting for putting on the armor, to show you the times that we're in, the sense of danger that we're in. You ain't putting those swimming trunks on to go out in the snow.
Right.
Putting a jacket on, a coat, a tank top on, or something like that. You dress for the appropriate setting, man.
Yeah.
So that armor show you that what time the rain is a sense of urgency, a time of a perilous time.
They have not made themselves ready to the battle.
Right.
Hey, could you give me that? With the scripture speaks about that bed. I want to add to the brother Yash's point.
Oh yeah,
Right, because if you're not covered all the way up, then you're vulnerable. Now that's the spirit you brought that out, right? We spoke on this maybe a week or two ago, maybe last week, when someone is attacked, right? What's the defense mechanism? They hold up their hands.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of people, especially from stab wounds, the defense wounds is used in your hands. So how does that apply to this time we're in now? The see here, man. For you to ward off everything that's coming at you, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get implanted. That's gonna be one of the defense wounds. Your defense mechanism. The proof that you try to defend off this system is gonna be that wound in your hand. But see, we covered all the way, man. Like when you go into the customs of the East, the women really be covered all the way up. You can't even see shit. When you really go to the Far East customs, that woman, your prize is she covered all the way up. So through the spirit, this truth, that's what it provides, a covering, man. Really, is no way to penetrate, and I'm saying this humbly. And I'm pretty sure I can speak on behalf of all the brothers in this hearing, man, and throughout, right? There's no way to penetrate what doctrine could you bring out now to penetrate us, man? To cause us to yield. Or what's that Proverbs? Where she calls him to yield.
Right.
What can you present to us now that causes us to yield? Nothing, because we are fully covered with this doctrine, man. You see, so what? Man, Yahweh Shai brought us this far. The flat earth didn't work. What you got? What's the newest one? The new covenant, I guess. I guess you could throw that,
Real King David.
Real King David, crazy D, KD, that fat dude. Yeah. That nigga rolling sixes crip. Or some shit, man.
That nigga old game.
Yeah, that's an old gang. Yeah. He got a Mac 10.
I know he got
If you cut him, he'll shoot you.
Got something real quick?
Yeah, come on.
It's like Galatians 1 and verse 8. It says, but though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. So just going back to what the elder said. And we have been persuaded in our own minds, man. you know, we recognize the voice that was speaking unto us through our elders, which is Yahweh Shai, and we have been, we have been persuaded in our own minds. So we can't be deterred off of this path that we on, man. It ain't shit nobody can come with, man.
Right.
It ain't nothing nobody else can come with right now that can tell us that we're not the children of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. The name Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is not the name.
Right.
You know, so forth and so on.
The famine ain't coming.
The famine ain't coming.
You can't tell us nothing, man.
You can't tell us this ain't Babylon.
Right.
Really, everything is lined up, man. And then now we're at the end. Everything is really lining up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
All that's just like Salakia, man. Them great points you made just sparked something. Like you watching a sporting event.
Right.
At the beginning of it, it's up for debate. Anybody can come out the woodwork and say, oh, somebody can win. But when you get to the end of the game, you can't tell me nothing. They up 20, man. You can't tell me shit.
You know they're gonna come back.
Right. Now remember, we in the final waning moment. We're in the end of the end. It's 3 seconds left. So at that point, you can't tell me nothing, man. Ain't no way they coming back.
Right.
Right. Even when you see with the commentators, they start moving on to the next thing. Like, yeah, man. They start praising the guys. Right. The game over. Yeah, this guy. Yeah. You know, they start talking about his accolades. He's been in the league this long. They start praising him because that game over.
I would say it is vain in the sight of any word that's set forth in it. So when something's clear and obvious, you can't distort it now.
Right.
That's what it is. Everything has been made clear and obvious to walk.
That's it.
It's clear, man. You know, especially since we got the eyesight, we see it now.
Right.
At one point, we was deceived, but now the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai has gotten stronger and stronger. Man, you can't deter us off this now, man.
Right.
I got one more.
Yeah, the end is manifest.
The end is manifest. That's it.
It's charging.
Verse 9. It says, as we said before, so I say now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed, man. So as the scripture says, a celestial being can come out of the heavens, man, and tell me, you know what, Esau ain't the Edomite. Man, hell no. We have been persuaded. Once you have been persuaded, man, you can't be turned around, man.
Well, that's the quality of the elect. Remember, 2nd Ezra 6, the 2nd chapter? These are they who stood stiffly.
Right.
Meaning they were steadfast, right? Stubborn. You know, it was nothing to persuade us or to discourage us. You see? Man, even your own beloved mama, not mother, your mama. That's more intimate, man. Your mama couldn't get you off your square right now, man. Right? If you want to go deeper, man. Right? You can get reports, man. They cooked Easter, man. They was doing things today. You wasn't there. Why? Because you was persuaded that this, what Yahweh Shai said, what I am, my service will be also.
Right.
So that's even with your desires, right? You got to stash your mind on that. You got something that's valuable to you. That's where your mind at. See? So our mind is
where man treasure is.
That's what we just said, yeah.
Matthew 6 chapter.
Right, man.
I got some.
Yeah, matter of fact, the brother you had something?
Yeah.
I want you to bring it back this way and get the precepts back there. Come on.
This is 2nd Ezra 7 in verse 18. It says, nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer great things and hope for why. For they that have done wickedly have suffered great things and yet shall not see the why.
Hey, so I hope it don't concern this place, man.
Right.
You know, because this place it really puts you in a box.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, you know, you really can be a rapper, like fucking athlete, fucking comedian.
Right.
You niggas in A, B, D, or C, man. All the above.
Right.
Nigga be an athlete and turn rapper.
Yeah.
You in a box, man.
Right.
You know, but this is that why this is some of the things that are not seen.
Right.
This system is not the standard, the thing that we hope in. You know? Kind of, you got it, right? That was on that.
Yeah, that was something.
Oh, kind of. So, but it's like, can you read that last part?
Yeah, it says, for they that have done wickedly have suffered straight things, and yet shall not see the why.
Yeah, so it said those that done wickedly, those that abide in this system, man. That's under the shadow of Esau. They're not gonna witness and be a part of this transition, man. You know, because they really was hoping in this place. You know, y'all got it.
Right. Cause we got some others out here. Yeah, we get ready to close up in a minute.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's Proverbs 22 and verse 6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go.
Good.
And when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Mm-hmm. And we are those children, man. We have been trained up to not depart from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man, regardless of what adversity we may face. Right? Because like you said, certain spirits got to be wired that way, man. We was wired to receive this, man. That was me? No, you got it.
Neither death nor
That's
life
it. That's it.
separate us from the love of Yahweh.
That's it.
That was it.
Somebody got to play the role of being saved. Well, even before that, hoping to be saved. Right, so that's what really this truth develops.
Right.
Hey, y'all brought it out earlier. The thing written aforetime, written for our learning, so that we, through comfort and patience of the scriptures, might have hope. See? We were speaking about that when we was out, right? You look at the average person, they don't have hope. But when you look at the brothers around you, that's the face of hope, right? This guy, the way he moving, that's the symbol of hope. This man is moving according to a standard that provides hope and being delivered. Everybody else ain't got hope. A nigga say, yeah, man, I got a record label. To the world, that's like, oh, this man on the what do you call it? He on the upstart, right? Yeah, I'm distributing my own records. But we look at that like, no, bro, you entangle more and more into this. That's no hope. That's not hope.
He believing in something that he physically can see.
Ooh, man, I was just going to say that. Hope is things that are not seen. Everything that you bring us, and if it's centered around hope and it's something that you can see, we're going to dismiss it based upon what the scripture said. We know this brother got hope because it centers around something that this world can't wrap their mind around. That one hope of being delivered from the destruction.
Evidence of things not seen.
Right, that's it.
That's it. But a nigga pull out a receipt, a physical
invoice.
Right, invoice. We booked the studio for 6 months, you know? And I'm just using that because, but like the brother said, you got basketball players, aspiring football guys, dancers, and somebody said, you know what, that brother got a future, but we see it, so you know what, that brother has no hope. No hope. That's no hope. The only hope you see is the guys that look like that's not the symbol of hope. Because the world teach you to have the goods of this world, and right, you got status. So they ride by us on the corner, and they said, nah, them, or scriptures say they perceive they taken away from us to be as you know, somebody as miserable.
Exactly.
Them guys miserable, ain't got a line up. But really, that's the face of hope. Like, you know. That's the Gucci man, you know what? So like you, we got to close. As bleak as it might seem, that guy is the hope, man. Right, but it's, you know, contrary to what the world might say, but that guy with they need a line up. You see? Or what's that? Wisdom of Solomon, 7th chapter, man. All right, so we got anything else I have? Yeah, come on. We ready to close up.
2 Timothy 2 and 23. It says, again, I say, don't get involved. This is the NLT. He said, again, I say, don't get involved in foolish ignorant arguments that only start fights. A servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but must be kind to everyone, to be able to teach and be patient with difficult people. Gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps Yahweh will change those people's hearts, and they will learn the truth. It says, then they will come to their senses and escape from the devil's trap, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants. And just showing you how it's a mental game. You know, you escape not by getting entangled, by doing the opposite. You know,
Right.
It's a freedom from the old ways of thinking and the logic in which you needed to rely on this system in order to be here, present, in order for you to obtain or have any type of prosperity. Your happiness is linked to America and Babylon continually.
Wow.
Whereas, you know, that's the defeat.
Right.
PA.
Yeah.
PA. Or PA. Permanent American.
Yeah.
That's no hope in it. Because once you, right, or like them guys over there in, if I may, over, was it Georgia?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right, they said they were going to create new Nazareth. Right? To the unlearned and the simple, they said that, you know what, they were making moves. The Jake said they making, you know.
Yeah.
But to us, we said, no, you was becoming a permanent American, man.
Yeah.
Which scripture speaks about they would not, they said, die in the pit, versus those whose desire is to be hastened to be loosed from the pit. See, so the elect is the symbol of hope, man. See?
Too. Let's say they ain't believe in so-called a new Nazareth or whatever they call it. That means it was just a money play. They were just trying to rule over you. They knew where you was at, limited with your limited hope.
Right.
And they say, you know what, we just gonna make bread because that's what the people want.
Right.
So we just gonna make bread off of you by saying we gonna build here.
Right.
You know, let's say we had a
what's the
title.
scripture? It speaks about that.
Let us build houses.
Oh, yeah.
Flesh for the quadrant.
Matter of fact, get that. We close out on that one. Because we've all been brought to a fork in the road. It requires elite decision making. That's where wisdom comes in, the spirit and power discernment. So now, is you going to jump, you're going to abandon ship, or you're going to go down with the Titanic? See, that's based upon your discernment. See? I said, come on.
This is the book of Ezekiel 11. I started verse 2. It reads, then said he unto me, son of man, these are the men that devise mischief and give wicked counsel in this city. We say it is not near. Let us build houses.
Oh, remember Peggy? Right? Said what? We'll be here another 1,000 years, man. See, so that's the mindset of Jacob. Will become acclimated to Esau. They throw whatever smoke screen out there to discourage you from saying we almost out of here. But see, this is where again the concept of only the elect being what Yahweh said, feed my sheep. Right, sheep is a separate, right? That's separate from the scorpions and vipers or whatever form of. Come on.
It says, we say it is not near. Let us build houses. This city is the Kadron, and we be the flesh.
Right, this city being America, Babylon the Great, the Kadron, the melting pot. Right. So they would mesh with this place. But then you'll have certain spirits who would detach. Right, I want to say that 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter. Right, speaks about forsaking this place.
Let go from,
come out of her or something like that, and then I will receive you. And touch not the unclean. Oh, now that's wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah.
Right, I believe it's 13.
Hey, Lord, because the Lord can't even deal with a mindset that's too entangled.
Right.
Oh, yeah. You know, the fact that you're comfortable with speaking on another 1,000 years, you know, your reasoning, you know, it's not acceptable.
Right.
You know? Like you always go into reasoning.
Right.
Like your reasoning has to be acceptable. You know what scripture, let my thoughts be acceptable.
That's it.
Your reasoning, you know, it has to be acceptable, man. So the fact that the nigga is comfortable, You know, speaking on another 1,000 years. Because if we plan something for next month, what we say, if this place up and running.
Right.
You know, like,
Oh yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
This place ain't destroyed. Take it down, then.
They're reasoning, and that's the reason that the Lord is dealing with.
Right.
You know, because that mindset of this place up and running, that means that you're not fed up with wickedness.
Right.
Right.
You know, like you're comfortable with another 1,000 years of Esau ruling the earth.
Right.
Like you can casually say,
So
you know what I'm
just to make a statement like that. Public statement like that.
Like it's that shit hurt right here to think about another 3-4 years. Like that shit hurt.
Yeah. Oh, deferred.
Yeah.
Oh, months.
Deferred.
Another 3 days.
Yeah.
Give him more tokens to play with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Said I was vexed every day.
Day for day with the
Conversation. He was forced to endure that, you know.
Trying to extend his legacy.
That what you doing?
Yeah.
We got it now.
Legacy.
That's a sick dude. The scripture speaks about lewdness.
Yeah.
I was talking about him, man, because there's nothing that can really trump that, right? Because whatever we got, I guarantee our shit ain't harder than that, bro.
Nah.
And so the Lord set the stage. Oh, we gonna be clear. We clear, bro. You gonna tell me that's the standard?
Yeah.
We good, bro. We just got to hold fast to what we got. Right.
We ain't sheep crews.
Right. Yeah.
Glorilla.
That one, that's it right there.
That's it right there.
Glorilla. Yeah, that was a sick demon, man. New precepts. Right, so the Lord, man, man, you know what? His fall, even he was like a sacrificial lamb in a sense. The Lord said, "I traded men lives." So even his fall, like it comforts us. Like, you mean tell them niggas out here like that?
Yeah.
The Wadi how about you outside, man? Like we perfect compared to them niggas, man. You know. But you know, with that said, we still know we serve and we're gonna keep pushing. You know, through the spirit and power of how about Shemai. Right. You know, it's heavy in closing. Spirit got on us to bring out the hope, right? Brother's been a symbol of hope. And then we brought that out as touching hope deferred is really the highest form of suffering. When a man is introduced to the heavenly gifts, the kingdom, and then you have to wait. You got that hope, but that hope is deferred. Yep. See? Yep. So, you know, we're gonna, stay tuned. As long as the Spirit gives utterance, the Lord got us here. Dead, what the scripture says, a live dog has been in a dead lion. So yeah, the poor, we insignificant to you people, but who cares? We got this hope.
The original hope.
Yeah, that hope, bro. Hope, man, that's heavy, man. Right? So we're gonna hold fast to that. Lord will, we endure to the end, as the scripture say. He who endures to the end, same shall be saved. So yeah, with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory
to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Rakakodash.
Double honors to the head apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the fellow laborers out there, and as always, you believers. Till next time, shalom.
Shalom.